Hello and welcome everybody to another puzzle challenge video with chessuniversity.com. This is Ryan Murphy, and again, we're moving on to our intermediate tactics for the week. So this is our first puzzle of the week that's going to be for players, I'd say roughly under 1500. The one in front of you here on the screen is white to play and win, and it's actually a forced checkmate, so please keep that in mind. And as I always do, I'll be putting the link in the description so you guys can follow it to the official post where you can post your solutions. And if you post the correct answer before we post our official solution post tomorrow, 24 hours from this video coming out, you can get rewards points on the website. So as we usually do, we're going to be looking at how we got to this position, so going through the opening and just kind of the moves leading up to this critical moment. So this is the game played between Wei and Zhang on chess.com in an online blitz tournament. And the game began with e4, e5. So symmetrical king's pawn. White opened with the Scotch. And we see the Mises variation, which is where black brings out the knight to f6 on move 4. White captures on c6. This is all the most common stuff. I think you usually hear white's playing the move e5, that's the main line. And then queen e7 is possible, knight d5 is also possible. There's a lot of theory there. In this game, white played queen e2 before playing e5, which strikes me as a bit odd, but maybe it's not terrible. e5 is probably still coming. So bishop c5 and now e5. And here the knight goes back to g8, which probably cannot be advised. I mean, one difference of this move order is that based on what has happened, queen e7 no longer makes any sense because white could just take the knight. So black does have to move the knight here, but in my mind, knight d5 feels like the more logical square. It's a centralized square, and there's no tactical way to take advantage of it. If c4, the knight's going to go back to its usual home on b6. So that would be kind of a standard looking position, just that the bishop would already be developed for black, which usually takes some time because black normally has blocked their bishop on f8 with queen e7. So, but knight g8 is not probably the way to go because obviously the knight's not very good on g8. So queen g4, attacking the pawn on g7, g6, defends against the threat, but now there's some because all these pawns are on light squares over here, these dark squares are very weak. So you can imagine a situation where bishop g5 comes in, or even bishop h6 after the knight moves, which would prevent black from castling safely. So I would say already white's got a pretty nice position and black's in some trouble. So knight c3. Probably getting castled sooner was prudent, but knight c3 can't be bad. Just that I'd probably have a slight preference for a move like bishop d3 with intending short castles. But okay, knight c3 is fine. d5 was played. Probably black needs to be very direct here, so like queen e7 is suggested, hitting the pawn with check on e5, and so this would force white to defend it in some way. Notice that like this isn't one of those cases where white can just go bishop e2 castles and then rook e1, because in this position after castles rook e1 would not be protected, so like those sort of tactics using the discoveries along the e-file are not quite available yet in this position based on how white developed their pieces. So yeah, queen e7 was probably a better chance for black. d5 was played, queen a4, attacking c6, which threatens to win a piece. Check and then take this, or take this depending on how black defends the check. So bishop d7 was played, logical. Bishop to f4. Again, bishop d3 with the idea of castling feels like the most aggressive and probably the best way to get a big advantage, but bishop f4 is okay, gets a piece off the back row. Knight to e7, h4, very aggressive. Yeah, again, probably getting ready to castle. Bishop d3 is again the move I would probably play, but okay. It's a blitz game, you're supposed to play for the initiative. h4 has the idea of going h5 obviously, and then trying to pry open the h-file. So there's some aggressive intentions here. Black castles, kind of I would say castling into the attack. Looks very dangerous, but I mean they don't want to play with their king in the center the whole game. So h5, consistent, and taking is yeah, taking the pawn's just not like a move I would consider ever in a position like this. I mean, as black I would much rather have this pawn on h6 and try to defend the g7 square than I would want to deal with the open h-file. So, and by taking, not only do you like immediately open the h-file for white, also there's the problem that you've sort of split your pawn so that the g-file is also half open. So that's very dangerous for the king. So pretty much any other move that doesn't take this pawn would be a huge improvement. Knight f5 makes a lot of sense, and then one regrouping could be to move this rook and bring the bishop back for defense. It's a very typical idea. You could also play simple moves like rook b8, just hitting this pawn, seeing how white wants to defend it. But you almost never, when you're under attack, do you want to like push or trade the pawns in front of your king like this in order to open more files for your opponent. So bishop h6 played, attacking the rook. Rook moves. White castles on the queen side. Now the rooks are connected. They can just move their bishop next move. Notice how the queen is able to swing over here to join the attack very quickly. This is a very dangerous position for black. Very difficult to play. Bishop g4 played. f3, obviously, kicking the bishop, saving against the attack on the rook. The bishop just drops back, and those last two moves didn't help black at all. In fact, they just helped white. So yeah, now after bishop d3, white finally has all their pieces in the game, and they are ominously pointing towards black's king, which has very few squares as it is. So this position is already very much, I would say, lost for black. I think earlier, to show a better idea of defending other than just giving a one-move attack on a rook and then going back, whenever you have split pawns like this, it's generally a good idea to put a minor piece on g6 where it's well anchored by both pawns and it shields against attacks on the g-file. So in this particular position, the piece that can get there the fastest is knight g6. Like this move here covers the g-file pretty sufficiently. And again, the other idea is then to bring back the dark square bishop and try to get rid of this bishop in some positions on h6, which is really cramping the position of the king. So a lot of people think that when their king gets split like this, that it's like a big deal always, and that it's always leading to a huge attack. But there are some cases where, you know, if you can get your pieces regrouped over towards your king, you can actually successfully defend. And this is a typical maneuver that helps black do that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this tempo move actually ends up helping white bring out their pieces. Here comes the knight e4, threatening some knight f6 business. Bishop back to b6. Knight f6 check, king h8, rook takes h5, and finally, after queen b8, we have our starting position where it is white to play and win. So as I mentioned earlier, please check out the link in the description to find the official problem post on chessuniversity.com where you can post your suggested answer, and if it's right, and we receive it before 24 hours after we post this one, you can get rewards points credit to your account on Chess University. So thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.